Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're still watching The Breakfast Show, and now we're going to talk about empowering women and also the 2030 Egyptian strategy for empowering women. And to shed more light on this topic, we are very delighted to have with us here in the studio Dr. Mohamad Hashim. He's a professor of mass communication and also he's a media expert. Thank you very much, Doctor, for coming today.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Good morning, Doctor. Doctor, let's watch the following report and come back.
Okay.
Egypt's efforts to empower women center around the National Strategy for Empowering Egyptian Women 2030. The country has driven significant progress through legislative reforms, financial inclusion, and social protection programs backed by the entities like the National Council for Women. Women currently hold 27% of parliamentary seats. The constitution mandates 25% of local council seats for women, and the country has seen historic appointments of female governors, judges, and the state council and ministers. Programs led by the Ministry of Social Solidarity support over 1 million vulnerable women, aiming to elevate the overall quality of life for the Egyptian family. The National Council for Women launched the Noura program in the Borg Al Arab area of Alexandria under the auspices of First Lady Intisar al-Sisi. The initiative targets adolescent girls aged 10 to 14 to build their health, social, and economic assets over a 40-week training curriculum. The group is 40-week training period involving small group sessions in safe spaces. The aim of the program is to equip girls with crucial life, health, and economic skills, promoting self-expression and fostering values of equality and community participation. The program is executed in cooperation with the UNFPA Egypt and the European Union, operating under the National Project for the Development of the Egyptian Family.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're still watching The Breakfast Show, and now we have with us in the studio Dr. Mohamad Hashim. He's a professor of mass communication and media expert. Thank you very much, Doctor, for coming.
Yes, thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure as always seeing you.
Thank you, Doctor. Doctor, we want to talk more about empowering women and the role of Egyptian women and its crucial role in the society.
Yes, so let's talk about I guess the last 10 years in Egyptian history since the new government formed 10 years ago. The amount of empowering women initiatives that Egypt has taken on has been extraordinary. It's been fantastic. A lot of women have gone into ministry, more than ever before. The simplest thing, even when you look at the airport, I just came back from Rome last week, and when you come back to the airport, all the women, all the officers that are doing the customs are all women.
Yeah.
And that's a very important thing. I don't think there's anywhere like that in the world. Not in Dubai, not in Australia, not in other countries in Europe. So definitely empowering women is a definite important thing for the region, and Egypt again is leading the way in that, in focusing and highlighting on that. Once you empower the woman, you empower society as a whole. Once you oppress the woman or depress the woman, the society collapses. And obviously Egypt again is leading the way in overcoming challenges that a lot of women have faced over the hundreds of years all around the world, in education, in social value, in education, in a lot of things. Egypt has led the way and is still leading the way. Egypt has a history from the days of pharaohs that the kings were mostly, a lot of them were women, not like the Romans or the Greeks where most of the kings or the emperors were men.
Yeah.
Egypt has the oldest empire where women were the leaders, and we've come back to that.
Cleopatra.
Yes. Nefertiti.
Nefertiti. Yeah. Doctor, how do you view the role of media, and does it succeed in changing the stereotype of women, and what also about the most outstanding models of successful women in different fields?
Yes, so media, if you look at media, say in the 50s and 60s in the West, you always have the woman wearing the apron and waiting for the man and having the oven and cooking the chicken for the man.
Yeah.
I think Egypt's beyond that. Egypt's had a lot of empowering situations scenarios for women since the 1920s, since the 1919 revolution. It was led by women. And the feminist movement in Egypt has been around for a long time, way before the West. If you look at things like Australia and other countries in the media, women were not allowed to be on television until the 1980s in some countries in the West. Yeah, and I've been teaching media for more than 15 years in Australia and in Egypt. Most of the students that I have are women, girls, and they usually go on to become great writers, great presenters, great media thinkers. So I think Egypt has already had its fair share of highlighting the importance of women's presence in the media. But things are changing. Like if you look at commercials or advertising from the 80s, how the woman is, the talk is directed to the woman, that she's the one that needs to do the washing, she's the one that needs to do the cleaning. They always say, you as the woman need to do the cooking and the cleaning. That's all changing. You know, that's all, and that needs to be highlighted. Empowering women obviously also means the media needs to focus on positions of power, positions of leadership, positions of decision making. That's very important. And once the world gets to see that, and men obviously need to also respect that. I think a good one would also be having women in sports, as in commentating on sports. Now in Australia, we have something called the AFL, which is called the Australian Football League, and all the commentators were men. Over the last 10 years, some of the commentators have been women, the women commentating on the actual match. I don't think that's happened here in the Middle East yet. That's something that would really change the landscape of, even though a lot of women are represented in the media, they're not doing things like commentating on sports, like football, and giving commentary on the game before and after. That would be interesting to see also the reaction of the public seeing that. Yes.
Doctor, we want to talk more about the success of Egyptian women and also its representation in the parliament. We've seen this year's parliament, a lot of women were sharing in the parliament, and also we've seen in the United Nations, like Dr. Rania Al-Mashot and Dr. Yasmin Fouad represented in the United Nations this year. Tell us more about the success stories of this.
Yes, amazing. Highlighting the success of Egyptian women abroad in things like the UN and international programs, and also locally, is very important. The government's ministry has always had women, especially over the last 10 years. I think 8 of the ministers are women, and a lot of the leaders in the UN and UNESCO and all the international bodies, a lot of them have Egyptian women and very high positions. So this is giving young girls and the Egyptian landscape in general a great boost and a great confidence to highlight the importance of empowering women, focusing on the importance of having women in high position roles. And it's fantastic. There's a lot of new programs that we do at a university level where a lot of women are getting motivated to continue education in masters and PhD because they see examples of these amazing Egyptian women abroad doing amazing things. And the media needs to highlight that more with things like social media and education programs. There's some great people doing some great stuff. There's She Arts that happens once a year, focus on arts for women. There's a lady called Shireen Badr who does something amazing at the museum, the Egyptian Museum, and also another lady, Niveen Kalani from Alexandria. She does something at the AUC once a year. So there's a lot of that happening, especially over the last 10 years, and it's giving encouragement and success stories for the younger generation to look up to and be motivated that it is possible to become successful in an intellectual capacity, away from the stereotype of the way women were, I guess, were perceived in the 60s and 70s as just good looking or the blonde hair or the long hair. No, it's intellectual and it's working.
Yes. Yeah. Doctor, and as a media expert, how can the media help in encouraging women, notably in the rural areas, on making use of the different government initiatives and programs?
Yes, that's very important. A lot of the programs that are targeted towards the 2030 vision also include rural programs, and these rural programs basically go in and they meet up with the local community and they ask questions to see what is needed. They deal with things like domestic violence in the home, they deal with things like lack of education for younger girls, and they get them out of their comfort zone and they get them to sit around and speak about different issues. And I think that's very important because you do see a big chasm between the rural culture and then the city culture, where a lot of the people that live in the rural areas, once they come to the city, there's a culture shock. Yes. Because it's very different. The movie El Set with Mona Zaki, the Egyptian Kulthum movie, proves that a lot of women, that including Kulthum, who came from the village, once she came to the city, it was a completely different life. It's like a different country for her. So these programs, they bridge the gap between the culture, between the city living culture and the rural culture. And I think women in the country, rural, are empowered in their own ways, but these programs also empower them to think strategically and out of the realm of where they're from. Yes.
And Doctor, how do you view the role of social media in spreading the awareness and culture of empowering the women, and what about the challenges facing it?
Yeah, well, the thing is, the ambassadors that lead things like this are usually actresses. Nelly Karim, Lozi, Yusra, all these amazing actresses, Layla Elwi. But they target a certain segment of society. Yusra's done an amazing job empowering women. She was at the Australian Embassy a few months ago. I was there. She was there for the Women's Day event, and that's good to have an actress that's been around for more than 50 years talking about the empowerment of women. But also it's important to have intellectuals, writers, academics, sports people. We had an Egyptian-Australian boxer. She did her boxing tournament last month at the Pyramids. It's very important to highlight that, and she's teaching young children, young girls, that they can also play sport and they can also do boxing and they can win on an international level. So I think Egypt's leading the way in sport, education, academia, and it's good to have people like Nelly Karim, Yusra, all these actresses promoting empowerment of women, but it's not always, not everyone's going to agree with that type of leadership. So we need women from different sectors and different attributes.
And Doctor, what are the challenges that are facing the empowerment of women in Egypt?
I think old stereotypes obviously need to change. Things like, I guess, the reason why there's a little bit of harassment sometimes in the city is because the old mindset of, sometimes women shouldn't be dressed like this, or shouldn't be doing this, or shouldn't have that individuality or ability. Education for young men needs to start at an early age, and needs to start from the mother. I think the main issue is the way the mother brings up the son. That's really important, because the son learns from the mother and he takes that out onto the street. If what he sees on the street is different to the way he's brought up, he attacks and he harasses because it's different to his upbringing. He needs to understand diversity. The way he's brought up at home, the way he sees his mum and his sister, could be different to the way he sees his colleagues at work or someone on the street, but he needs to respect that. Even if they dress differently, they act differently, he needs to be taught as a young man to respect the difference and not criticize it. So it starts from the home, definitely, and from the mother. How the mother brings up the son to treat strange women in the workforce and on the street, and also his sister, his own sister. The sisters always complain that the boys get better treatment than the girls. So it all starts at home, I think.
Doctor, under the auspices of Egypt's First Lady, Mrs. Intisar al-Sisi, a program called Noura to empower girls in Burj Al Arab in Alexandria was taking place. How do you see these initiatives and its role in empowering the young ladies?
Yes, that's another important initiative. Again, it provides confidence, it provides...
It's 14 years old girls.
Yeah.
This initiative is for this young age.
That's an important age, because that's when they begin to accumulate their personality and identify with who they are.
Critical age.
Yeah, for sure. Who they are and who they're going to be at that age. 10 years old, 15 years old. It's at that that age where they look up at people, they look up to people, they like to get impressed by people, so they need to have the right role models at that age, and they need to start forging their own personality, so by the time they reach the 15, 16 and get into adult age, they have a good understanding of where they're going to be. So an initiative like that by the President's wife, of course, is an amazing initiative. Start from the grassroots, from the ground up, and cultivate confidence and education and knowledge and strength and power also of how they can be good citizens in the society, and also how they can be good at the household also. It's very important. You also need to distinguish between the empowerment of women and also the home responsibility. It's still important. It's not just empowering of women and making women very good at work and politics, but then there's no home. Home is also very important for society in general. And it takes the man and the woman to make a good home, not just the woman. But it's a complicated issue, but it's interesting.
Yes. Doctor, as we were just talking about the initiative by First Lady Intisar al-Sisi and many other initiatives, how can the effective partnership be achieved between the media institutions and the government and also the civil society to guarantee that the message of empowerment reach all the ranks of the society?
Yes, all of these sectors that your kind self mentioned are very important, and how they're going to work together is also very important. And to lead that way is obviously the media. That's where we come in, the media. The media needs to have constant campaigns, social media campaigns, educational campaigns, entering schools and universities. So the civil society and sectors like that need to give as much information as possible to the media. The media then disperse the information into different categories, whether it's campaigns at school, whether it's stuff on Instagram or Facebook or social media. And they also need to know who the audience is. Very important to know who you're targeting. Like we said before, the initiative with the President's wife, targeting 10-year-old girls. There might be another initiative to target 24-year-old girls or 35-year-old women. So it all depends on the age. It depends on the different culture, as in where they come from in the country. Do they come from the rural side? Do they come from the city side? Everyone speaks a different language based on understanding. There's a French sociologist called Pierre Bourdieu. He speaks about something called cultural capital, which is what culture you are within the society. So everyone, it might be Egypt, one Egypt, but everybody's so different depending on their culture and their social status and their cultural status. Even though they're all Egyptian, you need to target them based on their own culture. We always say this when people get married: make sure she looks like you, or make sure he looks like you. Even though they're all Egyptian, but they're different culture. So these initiatives need to find out which culture they're targeting and have enough information how to speak to this culture, how to relate to them, how to get them to appreciate you, because you can't go to a rural area and speak like a city person completely. They'll laugh at you. And vice versa.
Of course. Dr. Mohamad Hashim, the Professor of Mass Communication and also media expert. Thank you very much, Doctor, for coming today.
Thank you. It's always been a pleasure.